I direct your attention to this ancient and mysterious tablet, which has yet to be deciphered.
Do you know what it means?
Yeah, I asked a cop once. It means up yours kid.
Sheesh, this is confusing. And I bet it's gonna get a lot more confusing.
Hey, people. This is the guy that Elon Musk gave access to the Twitter files. You can see this 10-minute exclusive interview on the Russell Brand channel, link below.
Yeah, I think the thing that we were shocked by was the degree of idiosyncratic control over the visibility of every single user, account, hashtag. They have a whole universe of stuff that they can do to any single account. They can dial it all the way down to you cannot be searched. And then from there are like countless gradations of things that they can do, all the way up to your account will not trend. Only people who follow you can see you. Even people who follow you won't see you unless they search. Like there's a whole list of stuff. So they have absolute control over the visibility of basically everything. And we haven't learned a lot about amplification of accounts yet, because that appears to be another side of the company. But in terms of cutting it down, dialing it down, we're learning a lot about that.
So he ain't telling me nothing I didn't know 7 years ago, but he's actually in the computer looking at the settings. He's reading the settings page. So for anybody who can't stand Russell Brand, he just gets out the way and lets this guy talk for most of the time. And Fry's interpretation of what this sign says is just as good as King James. And about 5,000 years ago, when somebody broke down the wall that you have plastered with untempered mortar, they said, "We got you. We got you." WEGOTYEW. We got you, alerts. Angel is due. When fell a clitum in took who hand Adam to give any you. So it appears the angel he's talking about is these Sumerian gods that used to wear this wristwatch. And the whole book seems like it was written in the future. It's like these guys brought the book back from the future. And you see a couple different words for a wristwatch in here. The yachty is always the handy. And this is the wrist, it's the axle. The axle yachty is, the wrist handy. And they always say, you see the last line, this could be a phallus, a hand, or meaning unsure. But, the yod is always the hand, and followed by a Y is handy. And the axle handy, at your wrist handy, is your watch. And so this gives you a better idea what evil means. EVI. This word only comes up, most of the time it's in the first word of a line. But it's the evil mit fruit. Evil with mit, with fruit. The women who sow, this is the sowing in the garden. And this is a word that doesn't come up in the Torah, or they give it another meaning. The first time it comes up is in Kings. And it means more how than alas or woe. Most words in the Bible, most of the lines in the Bible, they begin with the why, meaning how or who. W-Y. And this is the why. And it means how. You're asking a question, how, when, why, how this get done. And this is the why, how it got done. And the wine it novel to in favor, who's fed wholly to. How ache, A-H-I, A-C-H-E, ache. I have to read the rest of this to put it in perspective, but the wine it in vel to in favor, who's fed to. Holy, only just doing the wine, holy, all of your favorite, who ache, and who's wanting, who ache for, who wanting the wine. Are you aching because that's holy in cover to who's fed to holy? But this word comes mostly, just a couple times it comes somewhere else, But most of the time this word comes up at the beginning of the line. You ask the question, and this is the how. You see it in here in Isaiah 5:20 with this word evil. Somebody knew was there. But it's so fine to talk about some things, but if you know how, that's the evil. The how of is the evil, how it gets done. And so that's what they're saying, is they interpreted knowledge as evil. It's the things we just don't understand. Those are all God. But when you start to understand, it becomes the evil. In how hammerum of root of will tub, to evil good and good evil, to put the root of the root of will tub. They're cooking up the roots, the evil. And rose summum has chlor or color or the green color. Your word chlorine is the ancient word for green. Color, color, the green war. W-A-U-R. Of husk, some of them, some of them more. Some more have husk. When you're making wine, you want to leave a small percentage with a stem on them, nutrients. Of mid of them took limmer. And so this definitely isn't the words for bitter and sweet, because there's another 100 set of words for the same thing. And so how of with, el mit, how of with is the evil with, the evil mit. And evil with fruit cast what all. The fruit cast what all. And so when you're reading with the markings, this is the fire, P-I-R, the fire out, cast what all. The clocks, K-L-A-X, the clocks alley handy, clocks alley handy on the wrist. But it gives another word for the watch down here too. In the magic charms are the cast a ticking, and you can see it when you read it backwards first. All in sight. What's cast a ticking, and I will tear them from your arms, and your veils are from the spatchaticum, from dispatch, where it comes out of the spatchaticum. And what's delivered out your hand is, the medicine in by Dickon. And cruddy Adams spiticum. We exultiatomy. Yotomy, the Y-A-T-O-M-Y. We exultiatomy medicine. And lay they would by Dickon. Limits would. Hood of tents. Hood of tents. The T-N-C-I. Hood of tents, N-E-U. The big scary ones. And then that repeats again in the last line. The medicine, for I deliver my people out of your hand, to exalt yotomy. The medicine. The practice, nor practice longer. No, you shall envision divination, nor practice who'd we exalt yotomy. Medicine. Who'd tense any you. But that's what it's talking about. They call it the reproof of the false prophets. So what are you going to do? The first thing you do is going to say, hey, the prophets that are coming, they're false prophets. That's the way you're going to interpret that if you don't want the people to know. But they already wrote that they were coming. And then this line here is the same as that last movie I was reading. And it means several different things. It means to revive the holy word. Or it means to abbreviate quickly. And it means, in reveille, to wake up. To wake up hollered. And then Ben Haddam, same as that last movie. And this will change up with, put a 2 or 3 letter word before it sometime. And the word after it change up. So now it's been had men. Been had men bought. Been had men in all in via. It looks like the word, to go, the went, to brought. And it's the cycles, via the way they got there. His rule in Balaam. And then lower down here, when it's talking about the false women prophets, it's what having, EVN, what having had misum, M-I-S-I-M, what having had misum upon it. This is upon K, but when you see that K followed here, you could pronounce it as a T to fit, but it's a T or a K, and it's the upon, upon your face, and what had misum upon the call been what? Missing the call been what? So the daughters is not the daughters. A ben is the period of time. Whoever has spent that period of time, what have been, what haven't had missing, what they didn't have. The man that didn't get a dick. It's what have, if you read it with the mark, it's what having from dad, D-A-D. And from what having from dad, missim, M-S-I-M. So it's written in a riddle. The whole Bible is written in a riddle. It'll give you a better idea when you get to the bottom what all this riddle here mean. And so this son of man prophecy against the prophets of Israel who prophesy, and say to those who prophesy out of their own heart, hear the word of Yahweh. Just totally sounds ridiculous. But the Ben had men, B-A-A-L turned into a B-I-L or a B-E-L. So it's been had men, the villain. And the villain comes from an ancient word. It means farmer. And had men the villain by Aya. Aya was the ancient Sumerian angel that fell to the human women. And it's also your right hand. And it's envelop. And had them in villain by Aya. Aya done got a hold of him. His rule in Balaam, to obey his rule. And so it talks about the prophecies all throughout here. It's always spelt different. It's one of them words that's used a couple hundred times in 100 different ways. And so you can see evil here, and this is probably the 4-letter name of God, never spoken. This too, anytime there's an L in the beginning of a word, they'll begin that with 2, and it's the E-V-I, the Y, how to. And in the beginning, and it's let there be, and yea, and then, and there was, and why they. These are the creators, the why. And the soul, the life-giving soul, the life emmer adding you. The who y'all, you're reading this E, the who. The who y'all, envy, aim. The who y'all, in via, in wayum, in vellum, in skin as relicum. A hurry. It's a her, and it usually ends with an I, but they did it here with this R, and the double R's automatically adds an I. And double letters is the I is the next vowel. In a hurry, which will blitter of. This is where you word obliterate. And nothing have seen. Obliterate. Utterly wipe out. Coming from a letter written and erased. And nothing have seen. It's from will blitter. The blitter of. The life emmer adding you. The who y'all in wayum, in skin, in vellum, in skin, as relicum, as a relic, something ancient. Relic, the old surviving object. As relicum, a hurry, which from will obliterate, the blitter of, in letter of. And so the God it's talking about here is the Ka, the life-giving soul Emmer, adding you, the one that's adding the soul. E-N-V-Y, who y'all envy aim in vellum, in the skin has relicum. And so it looks like these prophets here, they're selling you, to adding the life-giving spirit, to add him, the life-giving spirit Emmer adding you. Hey, with this tonic here, I can give you some more life. Who y'all envy aim in the vellum, I can make your skin look 30 years younger. The soul emerating you, the who y'all in wayum in vellum in skin, as relicum a hurry, whichum will the blitter of. Castlem barren what? The castlem, the body, the barren what is nothing in, deserted, to astral project, to leave the body, to die, in barren what in via, on the way out traveling, the castle in barren what in via. And I believe when this K is final with this OA mark reads as a T. And I believe most words it'll read either way. They just be more recognizable if you read it as a T. And the closest thing I could find to this, is a Spanish word, the novia, for girlfriend, and novio for boyfriend. And it's Spanish, but it's used by the French and Filipino. It was a well-known word and probably had a special meaning, a certain kind of girlfriend. This is my girlfriend that does this. And that's why they would use these words, and that's why these words aren't common with us today. It was things that they didn't want us to know that they was talking about in the Bible. And the castle him bear in what? The girlfriend Navia Ikisseral who? Navia Ikisseral, the girlfriend of the kiss roll who? Or the T, the Navia tis her all who. The girlfriend, it is her all who, tis her all who. And so I told y'all before, the Hebrew slaves, they were addicted. They were slaves to their addiction. And it says it right here, and to build a wall for, is the drugged roll. And drugged roll. Tugdrugdrol. And drugged roll. 3 guys carrying stones all day, in about 1 year's time, they're going to be 3 times the size of their guard. Their tools for cutting stone are going to be just as hard or harder as his tools for cutting skin. They're going to be a much more formidable army. In order to watch these guys, you're going to have 3 times as many soldiers. And it's just not feasible if you're into construction. You don't want too many mouths to feed. Just go ahead and pay these guys for their labor. And the best way to do it is get them addicted to your drugs. Pay them in drugs. A lot of contractors still do it today. And lo, underneath all it from. Lo, all it from imports what? Lo, all it from, the lowest one on the totem pole. The slave, the lo, all it from imports what? And drugged roll in it. And drugged roll in it his rule. Lie amid animal come. In it his roll, and the 2 L's says this one's followed by an I. The lie amid, just amongst. And his roll lie amid Animal, in them will, BML, animal come. What did it come to? Animal come. Animal come by Jew. Has a shoe of phasm. Has a shoe of phasm. HZ has USU, a shoe. Issue. Has a shoe of phasm causing. Has a shoe of phasm cause in. And the cause, the Homer him, the hammer him, Homer him, the command, the Homer, the command him, the name you, and EVI, how have, has an issue of chasm, causing the command him, the name you who have, less lem. And lem, that's the end of Jerusalem. That's the word they say is bread, lem. And this SLH is the base word for sale, as in moving, or to sell as in selling a product, to move a product. You know, it's the sale, it means the moving. The name you how have, Low Salem, the under Salem, which Lou, which it, of Fimdover, which it of Fimdover, to be confirmed, FIMDBR, Fimdover, which of Fimdover. And halo from has is watches it from. The halo from has is watches it from. Anamphasm cause, a mortem and a marum of death, a whammering, the crying, and the cause of mortem, crying, whammerum name, you who any laid in right. The lay, you see the Britty in there, the British, Brit, riddle, all coming from this word, spoken. So this was never a book for the sheep, you know. It was all to name you who any laid bright. Just the bright ones are supposed to get it. So I'm about a third way through this chapter, but you can see it plainly says, you know, and in the record of the house of Israel, you know, to lay cut in wall. And you know this is wall because the last letter was the vav here. And that was to let you know that not read this as and, but this is the lay cut into wall. Had mit is rule. And so you can see here the Zionic idea of peace is a slum. Everybody lives together in the slum. And then it'll go through a whole bunch of these words for fall, PL, FL. And you can see it here, you know, the topple, TPL. And they'll say that they don't know what this means. They just get meaning uncertain, whitewash, foolish. You know, it's to pull, it topple, gonna fall, the topple who fall. And there'll be a whole bunch of words like this in here. Shall fall, gonna fall because the top lean, TPLNE, the top lean is gonna fall. And when Shirley has fallen, you know, the nipple went and fell. And this first time I seen them, they give this word when, but that's what this word is when, you know, W-E-N, and the E here, when and fell. And this word they say is the wall. You know, this is a fur, you know, when a fur is named to, and a furl, you know, it's a ferrule, a tie-off point. And you know, when a star has fallen, a fallen angel, what'll happen is when in the flicker, F-L-E-Q-I-R, and the flicker is what happens before it falls. And there's a whole bunch of clues in here to tell that's what's going on. And this definitely isn't the mortar. And I find it really hard to believe that happy means anger. You know, same base word for appease. You don't appease somebody by angering them. So this is definitely a flip of this word meaning. And you see this word with these dots here, it's the fair, F-A-I-R. So depending on readings, which points you read, sometimes it can mean the fire, the red, or the fair, the light. And the mortar is the topple, it's bound to fall. And so this definitely isn't mortar, but it's the topple, we got you. And alerts, all earth alerts, and tells the angel, when jealous dew when fell. The angel is dew when fell. The angel is dew when fell. When it starts flickering, that star is going to go out and fall. And clitum. And clitum and took. Who hand Adam give any of you? And to grab hold of, and clitum. And took, and would grab anybody's hand, to stop from falling, the hand Adam. And then you see this word with these marks up top, that's the eye. And so to read the fire, when reading the top marks. In fire of them at what fell, whammer cry, like may in occur. It just may happen. Vain, to empty, and to etch 'em. And so that's not plastered. The vein etch 'em. Etch 'em is when you're cutting into the stone. The vein etch 'em motto. And so it looks like this poet here, he's talking about other older poets that told when this terrible chasm happens, this great flood, earthquake, and they put it all in poetry, and they weren't straight either. And he seems to be talking about the older poets that had written about this before, about the fallen angels, which would mean a changing of positions. But I'm going to try to make another one on this and cut a little shorter than usual and try to cover everything to finish this up. I believe 23 lines here. I really want to look into these magic charms some more. So I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.